I can't go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know what my name is. I just wanna end up famous in
I'm so serious, probably why they be so damn curious. They furious. Easy got these ladies on some silly shit. Now what the dilly is, I'm going all out. Hey, I'm the talk of the town while y'all just saw a mouth. Here's a story about my quest to be rich. I'm like Beyonce and Kelly on some Destiny shit. Mr. 6 Mile, look me up, I'm some with a dream. Got my city like an addict, guess it's some with a fiend. For my team, anything less is uncivilized. Surprise, I'm seeing this world through clear eyes. And haters only make me more inspired to bless. On the clock right now, what the hell is the next? Like that feeling in your chest when you're ready to leave. Like that memory you had, you just couldn't believe. And we always got a little ammunition for y'all, cause we remember when they wouldn't even listen at all.
Listen here, I can't go another year. No, I can't be up in here complaining. Gotta let them know I'm famous in my heart. Listen here, I'm here for the world to hear. And I'ma make sure they know my name.
In 97 on Gunston and 6 Measy, the streets made a natural born hustler. Believe me, drop real with it. That was my first EP. Grind harder than granted, but made it look easy. Take it to the top, that was the plan. Now I'm known worldwide, from Detroit to Japan. 14 years span, fuck hot nigga, I'm scorching. I done got the fame. Now I want the.
And everybody, welcome to episode 34 of the Jackson Report. As y'all can see, I'm laying on my therapy couch today because it's been a strange week and I felt like I need to talk to somebody and get it out my system because there's a lot of stuff on my mind. There's a few things on my mind that's been happening around the country and in my life personally that's got me feeling like maybe, just maybe, I need some self-therapy. So you see me laying on my therapy couch. We doing the show a bit different.
So, DeWitt, tell me, what's been on your mind?
What's been on my mind, Chuck? First and foremost, in the anniversary of the George Floyd happening, the square was shot up. Like, what is wrong with people? And on that note, my thing is, what's been going on with the world? I mean, last year, it was protests all over the country. Yeah. It was so many protests going on last year over the same situation. Everybody was concerned. Everybody had they say so in it. And like I said, during the time of the George Floyd protests, it was only because people were stuck in the house with nothing else to do, and it gave them a reason to be outside for that bit of time. It gave them a cause to be outside, I should say. And a year later, on the anniversary of this man's unfortunate passing, some idiots start shooting. So it to me, it brings about a feeling of out of sight, out of mind. All while it was the thing to be doing at the time, everybody was on board. Other countries was getting on board, protesting, marching, and doing everything. And not even a whole year later, it's almost like we can't even honor this man's legacy without somebody deciding to open fire in the square where this man unfortunately met his demise at the hands of some estranged cops,
Wait. Oh, never mind.
to put it politically correct. At the intersection of 38th and Chicago, at the time of the incident, an Associated Press journalist shooting video at the intersection of 38th and Chicago reported hearing as many as 30 gunshots about a block from the intersection and said a storefront window appears to have been broken by a gunshot. So who chose to decide to start open firing, and what exactly were they shooting at? Because I'm quite sure of all the people that was out there, everybody was out there for the same cause. To pay their remembrance to this man. So it's bringing me to a point along the lines of everything else that's been happening this week. How is it that we allow stuff like this to happen?
Yeah, they don't even talk about if the guy was caught or identified.
Exactly. So it's just
got away
like,
with it.
yeah, it's just like you get to fire shots off and disrespect this man's legacy after a whole country was just on board. We was just on board last year. I'm talking about they protested everywhere. I protested in 3 different states last year for the same cause. And a year later, the disrespect for this man's legacy is unbelievable to me. That's one of the reasons I was laying on my therapy couch. Another one of the reasons, I know I got to get into this. I really got to get into this today because it dawns on me. Because, I was at work earlier and I was just reading stuff. I'm always going on Google and I'm checking up on sports and I'm looking at different things that's going on. And years after we all just was laughing in theaters, laughing if you had it on DVD, at Tropical Thunder, now all of a sudden, they want to bring it up about Robert Downey Jr. being in blackface. And here's just my little humble opinion. Who the fuck are these people that cancels people? Like, where do they be? Who the fuck are they? Like, so it boils back down to all of the stuff I've been preaching, television programming. It's almost like what they want to be acceptable is acceptable, and what they don't want us to accept, they push it out like, oh, man, he shouldn't have been playing that role. But here's just my little take on it. If the Hispanic community can come out and band together and tell them not to cancel Speedy Gonzalez because they said it was racist, the depiction of this mouse, and they came out and said they love Speedy Gonzalez. So if we as black people loved Robert Downey Jr. playing this role, who the fuck are they to tell us, let's cancel this man's career? Let's stop this man's livelihood. Over what? Why not cancel the writers who wrote that role? You never hear about stuff like that. This man was doing a job. One, I saw the movie. One which he did a damn good job. It was hilarious to me. Now, years later, it's like, oh, he shouldn't have did that. So it's bringing me to a point of nowadays, it's almost like the world has nothing better to do but sit around, being on the internet, scrolling through and finding stuff to fuck people careers up for no damn reason. I'm one of the ones that want to start to push to cancel the cancel culture. Like, this shit is stupid.
That's what Danny just said.
He
said we need to create an anti-cancel culture.
Yes, because it's dumb as hell to me because of the simple fact of everything that we grew up knowing. It's like some of our favorites. Pepe Le Pew, Speedy Gonzalez, Dr. Seuss. All of these things are being canceled in front of our eyes. Why? Because they say so. The same people that probably sit up in their offices and probably say some of the worst shit that never leaves beyond them walls are dictating to us what is and isn't acceptable for us to view. How much control can we give people, y'all? How much control are we going to let them have over our lives for them to tell us what we can and can't watch? I know Asians that say the word chink. I know Hispanic people that say the word wetback. Oh, and dare I say it? We say nigga more than anybody else on the planet. Yeah, all of these words are unacceptable for anybody else to say. Why is that? I mean, they're just mere words. Remember the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me?
Oh, that saying is
way out the window now.
Out of date now.
It's almost like this politically correct culture that we live in now is fucking up entertainment. You got comedians that can't even do a full comedy show because a joke can end their career, their livelihood. Like, I remember Dave Chappelle saying he had a transgendered woman in the audience. And she was telling him how much she loved him, cracking up at all of the trans jokes he was cracking. And a Caucasian woman in the back was offended. And this is just my point of view. That's just like if I was at a comedy show and there was a Caucasian comic and he on stage and he's talking about, because I be looking at TikTok all day. I didn't fell into the trend. I be looking at TikTok because it's just past the time. And it's a guy on there, white guy. And he was doing a voiceover of a comedian that was talking about black women. And he was basically saying, and he basically said some shit that was true. He said, I'm not saying that black people can't swim. It would be ignorant to think a whole culture, a whole ethnic group of people don't know how to swim. That would be purely ignorant. But his point was, you've never seen a black woman that just got her hair done voluntarily getting some water. Which is true. We all know that to be true. But somewhere down the line, years from now, maybe even soon as next year, somebody may see that special and just because they have nothing fucking better to do with their life, decide to make a decision for a whole ethnic group of people who really don't give two shits about it and say, we should cancel this guy because that was a racial slur. When we laughed at it, I laughed hilariously at the shit when I saw it. So it's starting to be like society has went to this fickle place where nothing is acceptable anymore. It's like I want to say this, but I can't. Or I want to say that, but who's to say somebody's going to hear it and now my show get canceled? If I set up here and just start ranting off a bunch of things that be on my mind about different ethnic groups, would my show get canceled? And the thing of the matter is, how would they know if I haven't sat down and had the same conversations with people of that descent? Here's something I need people to understand about me. When I get up here and I'm thinking of these things that I want to discuss with y'all, I know people of all walks of life. I have Hispanic friends that we crack jokes. Asian friends, we crack jokes. One of my near dear friends, like a sister to me, will say something along the lines of the stereotype of Asians, like, I'm an Asian woman, I'm smart to it. If somebody was to hear that conversation and hear me talking with her like, oh yeah, I know you know how to play chess because you're Asian. Would that be considered politically incorrect? If I'm speaking directly to the person and she's not offended, why should somebody who this conversation didn't directly affect get offended for this person? Is that really their cause? Or is the underlying thing of them basically showing just how easily we can be sheep and just follow whatever they dictate to us? Like last week when I was speaking on them ending unemployment. Whereas a lot of the things I see happen in a lot of states, a lot of the things that Governor Abbott does, I kind of be leery about. But that's one where I feel like he on the right page. Because if Texas is this big glorious state, because you know Texas, look, don't mess with Texas. The welcome sign is welcome to Texas. Don't mess with Texas, drive friendly. All of that stuff. Basically, with the government giving all this extra federal funding, adding on to unemployment, it made the world lazy. It made people feel like, why should I go and work when I could sit home, watch y'all work, and get the same amount, if not more than y'all, for doing none of the labor? Basically, what do y'all think that would eventually lead to if we just kept going along? All of the people that's out there praying to God for a fourth stimulus check and all of this free money that they've been giving away. Sometimes you have to sit back and look at the whole picture. Look at the underlying facts of it all. Why would they keep giving us all this money? What are they trying to do? See, today was going to be a different show because it was so much stuff I saw that had me just thinking like I always do, thinking outside the box. Like, why is it so easy if you say one thing for them to say, "Oh yeah, we need to stop everything he been doing. Take his video, take his movies down, remove all his videos because this guy's a racist." When that particular ethnic group is not offended. My producer was talking to me about a comedian down here, and they was trying to give him shit over a joke he cracked during his comedy set. What sense does that make? One instance to say, okay, you need to stop and desist with everything you doing because you said this one thing. And here's the point I'm getting to. If cancel culture is running rapid and it's so alive and real today, when do we cancel the whole fucking government? Because how much fucked up shit have they done in front of our very eyes and it's been acceptable? That's a conversation nobody's ready to have. When do we cancel Facebook? Hell, and I'm streaming on it live right now, but when do we cancel Facebook? You think about the memes that circulate through Facebook. Just how stereotypical the memes be. They done slanderized God. They done slanderized every ethnic group in the world on Facebook. Yeah, we able to log on to that motherfucker every day. We able to post pictures on Instagram every day. I look at TikTok every day, and you got everybody doing this big head effect and doing this little boy, the little Derek boy. And I'm taking it, the little Derek boy is of the LGBTQ community. And folks laugh at that. Why hasn't TikTok got canceled? So is it just a thing where they pick and choose? Like, we don't like this over here, so let's just cancel this out. Oh, but this along the lines of affecting us, so let's let this roll. So it's always a flip side to everything that's going on. I constantly say that. It's a flip side to everything that's happening. I look at Instagram. I've seen some Instagram posts, some Instagram videos that have me like, why would they put this out here? You look at TikTok, everybody's exposed. They make fun of every goddamn thing on TikTok. Could that be considered racist? Could that be considered a platform that needs to be canceled? I look down my Facebook timeline, I see the words black, white, Mexican all day long. Yet, we run to Facebook and glorify that motherfucker. Like, oh man, social media this, social media that. When do we cancel that? If everything's so politically correct in this world. How many events could get canceled just from the slogans they had? Why haven't they closed down Cracker Barrel? How about that? The title is a racial slur. Cracker Barrel. Like, why isn't that closed down? Somebody explain this shit to me. Like, who came up with this cancel culture? To me, it's a group of nerdy motherfuckers sitting around who didn't have no life. Probably was them people that walked into the high school dance and got the punch bowl pulled on them that says, oh, this isn't acceptable because of how they got treated. And a lot of people probably getting lost with this show, but it ticked me off because it's almost like everything that we grew up having fun, enjoying is being canceled because, oh, it depicts this, it depicts that.
It's like the Aunt Jemima got canceled.
Dude, who didn't? What black family you know didn't love Aunt Jemima growing up?
Yeah, I actually went to the grocery store the other day and got some Aunt Jemima.
Exactly.
And there was no Aunt Jemima on it. Just the words, not the actual lady.
Picture. Everybody loved Aunt Jemima, just like everybody loved Uncle Ben. We didn't see stuff like that. We didn't look at it in the way that the world is turned. It's almost like it's focused on everything but what matters right now. The world is so fucked up nowadays that they've completely started to cancel religion too, if we paying attention. How many memes have you seen on Facebook that's pretty much making a mockery of the whole Trinity? And this is acceptable. People so caught up in glorifying likes and comments and being Facebook famous, that we missing the bigger picture nowadays. It's only so many times we could speak on social media and speak on all of these different platforms. They ban who they want to ban and allow. I've been in groups and I've seen people listen. You could pull up a KView article right now and look at the comments under there. If it got anything to do with anything other than the good old boys in the backyard barns of Texas, look at the comments. And you tell me what's being blatantly shown about the society we live in. I had gotten to a point, I remember having a conversation with somebody, and I was like, you know what? Even if racism is out there, I can't say nothing about it. I haven't never seen it in my face until I saw it in my face on a constant basis. Every time I see a KView or a KXN article about anything going on in Texas, in Austin, the comments under there are outlandish. But yet, I see them same people commenting every time they put an article out. So why aren't they getting canceled?
What are the comments saying?
Oh man, I done had comments. I done seen comments of where it's like during the whole George Floyd protest, I seen so many fucked up comments about, yeah, they need to get them people back where they belong anyway. Them people need to be, they savaged animals and this and that. But yet, nobody has banned their comments. Because I might key in on the name and screenshot the name just for my own personal records and see another KView heading days later and see that same person commenting on there. So who really is behind the cancel culture? Does it take one person to feel offended and then it's just this big movement that comes about?
I think it's definitely a vocal minority.
Exactly. Because half of the time, the things that they want to cancel be things that we all love. Like,
yeah, like the fact that you scroll TikTok and see everyone saying Mexican this, white people that, black people that, indicates to me that most people are not offended by everything.
exactly.
And so it's not that many people that get really offended.
It's just a fickle ass society we live in now, to where that one person that gets offended makes a big fuss and fucks it up for everybody else that's enjoying stuff like this. Like I was telling my girl, I said, the little Derek character cracks me the hell up every time.
I don't know who you're talking about. What Derek character?
It's this little boy. It's this little boy that they portray on TikTok. Look, it's a little boy they portray on TikTok.
Is it any of these?
No, it's like they do this big head effect on TikTok. And he always doing something like he
Is it this guy?
yeah, he probably doing it. It's a character some guy made up, but everybody do it. Everybody. He always talking about his mom's a prostitute. It's a character. It's crazy because to me, I crack up every time I see it. Like I literally scroll through TikTok, finding the different people that's doing this character because it's hilarious to me. Like to hear a kid, and the boy's supposedly only 11, but hey, he's an 11-year-old homosexual boy. And it's crazy because he might call like, Dad, I went to prison. No, I love it here. And you hear the people in the background like, bring that ass over here. Oh, you looking at my ass, are you? Hey, big boy. Like, he be tripping. It's hilarious to me. But somewhere in the country, is somebody sitting back like, oh my God, how could they portray that? But yet, you'll let your kids watch anime. Or,
hey, what's wrong with anime?
There's nothing wrong with anime. See, here's my thing with the cancel culture. If watching a cartoon can directly influence somebody to do something, it's not the cartoon that needs to be canceled.
True.
Like, I watched Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and all of that growing up. Did it make me think that I could take a shotgun, go out looking for this magical rabbit, and whenever I tried to kill him, he was going to stick his finger in the hole of my shotgun and the bullet would backfire? No. We was smart enough to understand it's make believe. It's a reason it's called entertainment. People take stuff so seriously. Like, even with the NBA and the NFL and Major League Baseball, you got people that will divide their whole household, fuck up friendships, relationships, everything over sports, over entertainment. You got people that argue up and down over two different rappers. You think about it. One of the biggest tragedies in American history, two different rappers had two sides of the country against each other over music. So it's like, when do we pull the reins back in and start getting a better grip of reality? And speaking of reality, I saw earlier a dude in California 11 years ago got offered 10,000 Bitcoins to deliver 2 pizzas. So he accepted the deal. He accepted the deal. But he apparently used the Bitcoin back then for travels. And if he would have just held on to it, because he was working apparently, they was $41 at the time. They was only worth $41. For 2 large pizzas, a $41 tip to drop off 2 pizzas ain't bad. But
that's great.
I guess he was unaware that what was $41 then would equal up to $365 million had he held on to him today. That's nuts. And the guy apparently is saying he has no regrets about it.
There he is.
Looking at him. Oh, man. Looking at him. To look at this guy, at least to me, he should have had some adult supervision around him. Like, because the look on his face looks like he hasn't a care in the world. Like, at least, I guess in his defense, he sparked a Bitcoin pizza day. If that's any consolation to him squandering $365 million for them 2 large pizzas, a cheese pizza and a supreme pizza, you made $365 million unbeknownst to yourself.
Those are the most expensive pizzas in history.
Exactly. 2 pizzas got you $365 million unbeknownst to yourself, and you squandered it away before doing any kind of research.
Hey, the guy who bought the pizzas squandered it more than the guy who delivered the pizzas, because at least the guy who bought the pizzas, he knew enough about Bitcoin to own 10,000 of them.
Yeah, at $41, but just imagine, if he was willing to give away 10,000 of them, how much more did he really have?
True, he might have had a lot more.
And if 10,000 Bitcoins back then was only worth $41, imagine if that same guy at that time put like $500 into Bitcoin. I think that's probably why in this article, they only mentioned him like he gave it to the guy because he was smart with his side of it. I think he was smart with his Bitcoin. To me, sometimes we act out of haste before we do some research.
Oh my God. The guy who bought the pizzas went on to spend 100,000 Bitcoins, currently $38 billion, on pizzas alone in the summer of 2010.
See, so imagine if he spent 100,000 of them. Imagine how much more he had at that point in time. That is the most expensive summer, according to today's standards. You spent $3.8 billion on pizzas. That brings up a heck of a point because somebody was talking to me and somebody had told me that when we growing up, we taught about religion as opposed to being taught about the stock market and learning how to manage money. And I said, honestly, I don't think no child growing up, like Chuck, you from Westlake.
Yep.
That's a well-off-to-do area of town. When you was growing up, was your parents like, hey, look, you need to get your portfolio together, you need to have this and that, or did they allow you to be a kid?
I'd say a bit of both. My dad's always been super. He wants me to invest. He's been asking me to start an index fund for a few years now.
Uh-huh.
Something I can put a little bit of money into and watch it grow over the course of my life.
Right.
And he's been telling me about investments my whole life. But I also, I made a good amount of money playing poker and as a kid, and I could just spend it however I wanted. They didn't make me like save it or anything like that.
See, so and most times, I honestly like most times, like I can recall when I was like 15, my granddaddy was like, hey, I'm signing y'all up for the engineering program at Chrysler. But my thing was, you mean to tell me I got to spend my summer going to learn something? See, it's different environments because at the time, if I knew then what I know now, I would have accepted that engineering program. And he was giving me the keys to success then. But as a child, all I could think about was my friends going to be running up and down the block, having a good time this summer, and I'm going to be reading books and learning something. But I would have been learning something that probably would have made me a multimillionaire today. So it's all in what you choose to take on and what you choose to allow, I would say, into your system. Because a lot of times we complain about, what we didn't have or what we wasn't given. And if you was to sit back and think about it, with your parents, they came up in that time where you had to make a way out of no way. So why wouldn't they give you the tools for you to be better than they was? Like I always tell people, one thing that my daddy, I know I used to drive this man blood pressure through the roof. He used to always tell me that everybody can't go with you because I was that person that's like, if I get $100, guess what? I'm spending at least 60 of it on all my friends. We gonna have a good ass time. Until I got older and started realizing everybody don't have the mental capacity to go to the different levels that you're going to. That's just like I got friends right now that wouldn't understand this setup, Chuck. They wouldn't understand me doing a podcast. That's stupid. How much money do you get every time you do it? Sometimes it's putting the irons on the fire. That's just like, even with and dare I say, I know I'm going to get in trouble once the show is over with, Chuck, for saying this next statement. But even with the old ball and chain, you got to put time in. It ain't like I saw her and just was like, hey, you sexy, you chocolate, you cute, you mine. And she looked at me like, you're a decent guy, you mine. It didn't happen like that. No, it was countless trips up and down 35. It was texts, it was talks, it was spending time around each other. Basically, it was an investment. Everything that we do in this lifetime is an investment. That's why I tell people, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because either you got assets or you got liabilities in your life. One of the liabilities, since we speaking on things that's a liability, this new law that they just passed in Texas. To me, that's going to come back to bite us in the ass in the long run. Because now they've made Texas the wild, wild fucking West again. They just passed a law. Texas lawmakers then decided you don't really need a thorough background check, nor do you need a gun license to buy a weapon, conceal it, and carry it. Abbott has just said, I'm signing it. So all my Texans, you got the right now to go out, buy you a firearm, and carry it. And mind you, Texas is a Republican state. In my eyes, I'm kind of, I'm on the fence with it. Because whereas, yeah, I'm thrilled at the fact of being able to protect myself. But what I'm not thrilled at is the fact that now anybody can get one. Who's to say this person that wake up every morning talking to a bunch of people that ain't even there and swearing they are there is not going to go get a hold of a gun? And when the people who ain't really there get to talking to him and telling them in his head, you want to kill everybody up in this month, what's going to happen then? Or another point, when I was browsing through this article and I was reading it, what happens in a situation where the police is on call to do their job and you got 10 people who not properly trained all pulling out firearms, thinking they can defuse the situation, not realizing they adding more to the situation. I've been saying a lot of different things. Like even when all of the clubs here found the red tape around when they was closing all of the clubs down and telling the bars couldn't be open, and they allowed restaurants to open, and all of these bars switched their liquor license to operate as restaurants, which cut off 51% of their business being from alcohol, which then allowed concealed carry into all of these clubs. I said that was going to be a problem. Now, it's almost like they poured gasoline on the fire. Now it's like, you can conceal carry. Yeah, so what you don't have a license? So what they didn't run a background check?
Is that just for carrying a gun or also purchasing a gun?
All together, everything. You could purchase it, carry it, everything, as long as you're not a felon.
Yeah.
You could purchase the gun, carry it, and just because you're not a felon don't mean you shouldn't have been one. How many people done did some of the craziest stuff in the world and just didn't get caught? So you're going to have people out here, it's almost like they just might as well have a truck riding around Texas just passing out firearms to everybody. Like, here, you get one, and but it's supposed to be, you have to be 21 and over. But
Oh, it does say here. The bill wouldn't prevent businesses from banning guns on their property, and federal background checks for some gun purchases would remain in place.
Okay.
But Texas has no state requirements for background checks on private gun sales.
Exactly. So that means most of these pawn shops and all of that can sell you firearms. They're privately owned. That changes up the dynamic of everything. Because I just had a check ran on me for purchasing one. Took damn near a whole week. For what I don't know, I'm not a criminal. I don't do nothing. Like, do I look like a criminal? Probably people at home like, hell yeah, but no, I'm not a criminal. I don't have a criminal background at all. But imagine now you could walk up in a pawn shop and just say, yep, that AR-15 right there, and buy it outright. But I think in most states, they've been lifted the rifle ban. People, you could walk down the street technically with an assault rifle hanging off the front of your chest and just willy-nilly through neighborhoods, and nobody gonna think nothing of it. So
people might think something of it, but
I don't think
they
nobody
legally can't do anything.
Exactly. And if you just imagine if me and you standing out in front of the studio right now and we see a guy walk past with an AR-15 dangling on the front of him, even if we felt some kind of way, I'm not going to say nothing. Well, I probably would because of being where we at. I know we protect it. But just imagine the average person. You sitting on your porch with the missus and you sipping a daiquiri and you just see this guy. He just walking through the neighborhood with his dogs and he got an AK strapped to his back. I don't think you're going to say nothing to him. Chances are, 9 times out of 10, like I was just joking. I was just joking with my girl the other day. We was taking a trip and we was leaving Texas and I looked at the sign and I said, when is they gonna change the sign? Because the sign say, welcome to Texas, don't mess with Texas, drive friendly the Texas way. I'm like, they need to change all of that with all of these different laws they passing and just say, don't mess with Texas. Welcome to Texas. Drive friendly because we strapped. Like, everybody has the right to carry a pistol down here. When I go to the gun range, I see more teenagers and kids there shooting guns that I have second thoughts about firing. Like, I seen like a little 12-year-old girl shooting like an AR-15 like it was nothing. Lean down, sight, she into it. I was scared to shoot an AR-15 because I just knew the kick would knock me like that Kevin Hart scene in Ride Along. I just figured it would throw me back into the wall. And I see you see everybody. Like, we was joking about it. Me and my girl was joking, and she like, at 10 years old, it'd be like, what do you want for your birthday? A rifle? And it's like, but you got 3 already. I want another one. Like, and that's what's happening down here in these southern states. So imagine the people that got this land. How many people that's gonna be walking around? It kind of makes it, make it a little bit scary for me because as a person that does live on weekends, who's to say I'm not gonna get that passenger in my car that's like, I'm gonna add a few stops, and I'm like, oh, okay. And there's certain stuff that I don't allow people to do in my car. Like, you're not gonna make out in my backseat. You're not gonna do none of that. So who's to say I'm like, hey, I don't want y'all doing that back there. And he whip out a firearm and put cold steel to my face. Like, you better mind your business and drive us where we going, bro. So it changes up the dynamic of everything. Who's to say you out there and you got road rage? You like blow your horn trying to get somebody to go. And now little Miss Jenkins done whipped out a cannon because Anybody could buy firearms now. And I'm not sure if the law is passed into law. I guess it's just waiting on Abbott to sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just waiting on Abbott to sign it. They okayed it. Once Abbott signed it, it's in full effect. Anybody can do it. Like, anybody can carry it. That's to me, that is. I actually heard people talking about this weeks ago in my Lyft car. It was people that was thinking about a move to Austin, and the one thing that they said had them kind of on the fence about it was this law. And they was like, they wasn't sure if it was going to pass or not. Well, to them people, if you out there somewhere and you see this, it passed. So just a heads up, because they was really worried about that. They was like, I don't know about moving to a state where anybody and everybody can carry a gun. And of course, open carry has always been allowed in Texas. But I believe there was rules to that too. You had to have like a clean record and all of this stuff. But now it's just like, okay, as long as you're not a felon, go get you a pistol. We living in the wild, wild west. Anybody can fire a shot. So my Am I With It section of my show, am I with this new law? Hell no, I'm not. And I'm a firm believer in being able to defend yourself. But it should be done the right way. Because now with this law passing, are they going to go back and reopen some of the cases where people are in prison for protecting themselves? See, that's the double-edged sword to all of this newfound stuff. Like, now that they legalizing cannabis damn near everywhere, when do they start reopening all of these cases where somebody is sitting and rotting in a jail cell because they had a quarter ounce of weed? Some of the dumbest shit in the world. Or when are they going to go back, since this law's passing, are they going to start going back through the list and be like, oh, he went to jail for having a firearm in the car? That's allowed now. Let his ass out. When do it get correct? So it's like, am I with this shit? No, because if you're going to pass a law like that, do it and do it the right way. Like, that's what we should be focused on, as opposed to this cancel culture shit. If you go pass a law that says you don't have to really have a background check or a license to carry this concealed weapon, do you now go back and look through your prison system and your jail records and let those people out that was doing exactly what you just put into law? Carrying a weapon for what? To protect themselves. So see, and I know, Chuck, I'm probably, when I get off air, I should just stay on to like 9, 10 o'clock. That way I can avoid the whole troublesome conversation I'm finna have once I get off air, because I said I would say it on there, the old ball and chain. You have to look at it like a ball and chain, because like, think about it, in any relationship, and I was just joking with her about this. I said in any relationship, we be smart than a motherfucker. And men, we be self-sufficient. When you're single, you doing everything by yourself. And then a lady come into your life, and it's almost like she take your intelligence from you. Now you be needing her you need her for the simplest shit. And you be like, I forgot. Where's that? And she always know. Like, oh, it's because it's here. It's because it's there. It's because you were supposed to do this and that. So for about a few weeks now, I've been feeling like the dumbest motherfucker in America. Like, even now, I'm going to get off air and probably have to call her, like, where did I put this at? Where is this supposed to be at? And this supposed to come? And why ain't this working like that? And it's kind of like one of them things. So see, I'm making up for it for calling you the ball and chain. So I ain't going to get in too much trouble. But yeah, this week, I had to be laying on my therapy couch because everything I saw in the news this week took me for a whirl on like, why is that like that? Especially this whole cancel culture thing. Like, how long is it going to be before everything that's normal to us that brings us entertainment and pleasure is canceled? And they don't cancel the boring shit. They cancel the shit that you like. They cancel the stuff that was like hilarious. Like Pepe Le Pew was one of my favorite characters. And people was like, oh, he was promoting rape culture. I'm like, it's always two sides to the story. They can't talk to a cartoon character. Like, was she really? Because to me, if you watch it, she kind of dug him. I think the fact of the matter, the reason why she was trying to get away from him, because she was a cat and he was a fucking skunk.
I think I'm too young to know who Pepe Le Pew is.
Really? You don't know who Pepe Le Pew is, Chuck?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
There he is. Is that a dude?
Yeah, he's a dude. And the girl always was like, wanted to get away from him. They said he was promoting rape culture. But I don't think these people in this cancel culture took the time to understand, was she trying to get away from him because she didn't like him? Because he was a smooth, charming fella, according to the cartoons. Or was it the fact that she was a cat and he was a skunk? So they just completely wiped away a whole segment of a cartoon show over them assuming. That's just like, I always give people a jewel before I get off the air. And I'm seeing we're approaching that time. So I'm going to leave y'all with this. In this lifetime, the way you perceive things is a reflection of you and only you and no one else. So with everything that I be seeing nowadays, it's almost like one part of society is projecting their beliefs onto the rest of society, and a lot of times we follow suit. But when do we break that trend and stop following that narrative? And before I get off the air, I have to say this. When it comes to the new age relationships, since everything is so not traditional like it used to, always remember this. How you carry you is a reflection of you and nobody else. So if you're going to end something, end it as gracefully as you started it. Let's stop with all of the toxic stuff. Let's try to put an end to all of these different narratives that is getting thrown in our face and basically get back to something normal. Because we all innately know right from wrong. And it's almost like, as much as we proclaimed we so woke and didn't want to be this way, how brainwashed are we as a society when we canceling everything because somebody else told us that it wasn't for the right thing? That's just like if I sat up here and said, oh yeah, back in the day, I knew a lot of skeezers. Am I going to get canceled by the hashtag Me Too movement for calling women skeezers? No. It's some women that know they were skeezers back in the day. Now they done transcended to thoughts and old cougars, but they still was skeezers back in the day. I've never heard that word before. You never heard the word skeezer?
No.
See, before there was a Tatianas and all of this stuff, before there was the $40 chicks and all of that, it was just one simple word. They was skeezers. And if that's going to get, if that will get the Jackson Report in a world of trouble, so be it, because a skeezer knew she was a skeezer back then. And fellas, all over the world, all over the planet. If you ever want to see the real skeezers come out, just let this one line drop. Cash Money taking over for the 99 and the 2000s. Every skeezer that's in the neighborhood gonna show up. This been another episode of the Jackson Report. I thank y'all for tuning in as usual. Good night, people.
Life's a game, but I figured it out. Sitting on the steps at Granny House. This world is strange, but I picture my route. Sitting on the steps at Granny House. Life's a game, but I figured it out. Sitting on the steps at Granny House. This world is strange, but I picture my route. Sitting on the steps at Granny House.